reached the 2021 Blue Collar Football League Championship game, with the Columbus Gladiators taking on the Cin City Buccaneers from Lancaster, Ohio. The Buccaneers overcame an 0-3 start by winning 8 straight games, including playoff wins against the Southern Ohio Blaze and the Cincinnati Dukes. The Gladiators started 7-0, but stumbled, losing their final 2 games of the regular season. They recovered to make it through the Eastern Conference playoffs without allowing a point, including road wins against the West Virginia Storm and the Port City Spartans. The Buccaneers went 3-0 on the opening possession of the game, and a short punt set the Gladiators up at the Bucs' 32. Columbus faced a 3rd and 7 when Ben Kershaw found Josh McCarroll for 12 yards inside the 10-yard line. 2 plays later, Michael Haynes took a handoff around the left side easily into the end zone, and the Gladiators were quickly on top. Haynes added a 2-point conversion run, and it was 8-0 Gladiators. Cin City managed to pick up 1 first down on their next possession, but when Antonio Davis looked for Kurt Johnson deep, instead it was Jeremy Williams there to pick it off for the Gladiators. Columbus could not move the ball, however, and they punted it right back to the Bucs. Cin City finally got something going when Davis connected with Johnson for 11 yards on the final play of the quarter. In the second quarter, Davis found Darion Brown for 13 yards and another first down. Then it was the Bucs' ground game that got going. Greg Johnson took a handoff. He moved ahead for 8 yards. And on 3rd and 2, Davis found Brown. He stretched ahead for 10 yards and another first down. Going back to the ground, Johnson went right, cut back left. He picked up 7 yards. A penalty threatened to derail the drive, but on 2nd and 18, Davis rolled out. He found Jay Johnson for 8 yards. And on the next play, he looked to the sideline. Darion Brown hauled it in for 18 yards and a first down. After an incomplete pass in the end zone, Davis looked short this time. Marcus Commodore hauled it in, slipped past 1 tackle, passed a couple more defenders, and in the end zone took a hit, but into the end zone for the touchdown, capping a 13-play, 85-yard drive. On the 2-point conversion, Davis threw a quick strike to Kurt Johnson. He snuck in the end zone, tying the score 8-8. The Gladiators looked to respond. Ben Kershaw fired a deep pass. Calvin Johnson hauled it in front of 2 defenders for a 34-yard pickup. But on 3rd and 2, Lamar Taborn knocked the ball loose. Joe Willis there to pick it up for the Bucs, and the threat was over. The Gladiators held the Buccaneers there, and when Bradley Collins' punt was fielded by Jeremy Williams at the 45, he raced down the sidelines all the way inside the end zone to the 14-yard line, and the Gladiators had another chance just in front of the 2-minute warning. This time, DeAndre Riley reached Kershaw, knocked the ball loose, and Taborn was there to recover it. And the Bucs managed to make it to halftime with the score still tied 8-8. In the first half, the Bucs had nearly twice as many yards as the Gladiators on offense, but the Gladiators had much better field position, starting an average at the Bucs' 49, while the Bucs on average started at their own 19. Cin City had rushed just 6 times, accumulating 23 yards. The Glads had 12 carries for 29 yards. Davis for the Bucs was 10 of 21 for their 110 yards. Kershaw was a perfect 5 for 5 for 60 yards passing, but had been sacked twice for a loss of 21 yards. The Gladiators also had 2 costly turnovers in the red zone. The Bucs had turned it over once, and Cin City had a 1-minute advantage in time of possession at the half. In the second half, the Gladiators started with a 3-and-out, and on the Bucs' second play, Davis' pass was picked off by Raynard Ballard. He had blockers in front of him. He picked up 44 yards to the 27, giving the Gladiators yet another short field. From there, the Gladiators moved backwards, however. On first down, Michael Haynes was brought down for a 5-yard loss. A holding penalty in the next play pushed them back 10 more yards. Then Travis Birdsong was brought down for a sack, moving him back 9 more yards and bringing up 3rd and 34. Making matters worse, the Gladiators just had 10 men on the field. Jeremy Williams hustled onto the field, and Birdsong fired a pass that Williams hauled in for a 45-yard pickup for a 1st and goal at the 6. On the next play, Birdsong worked his way through a stunned Bucs defense, fighting his way in for a touchdown. Kershaw came back in for the 2-point conversion, and he flipped the pass to Adrian Barrett for the 2-point conversion that put the Gladiators back up 16-8. Cin City managed a couple of first downs, but on 3rd and 10, Davis was hit as he threw, and Williams was there for his 2nd interception of the game, sending the Gladiators up at their own 45. Columbus only moves backwards, and Cin City finally got a short field of their own. On the first play of the 4th quarter, they took advantage. A juggling catch by Brown in the end zone for a touchdown. On the 2-point conversion, once again, Kurt Johnson snuck his way into the corner end zone, and the score was tied 16-16. The Gladiators looked to regain the lead. On 3rd and 2, Kershaw found Calvin Dawson. He worked his way through the Bucs defense ahead for 18 yards into Bucs territory. 2 plays later, Kershaw heaved a deep pass. Dawson ran under it. He caught it for a 38-yard pickup down to the Bucs' 13-yard line. 2 runs moved the Gladiators to the 6-yard line, but on 3rd down, Kershaw was able to handle the snap, and they were pushed back to the 20. Then on 4th down, Kershaw just fired one in the end zone. DeJuan Edwards picked it off at the goal line. He had blockers on the left side, worked his way all the way down the left sideline to the Bucs' 45-yard line, and for the 3rd time in the game, the Gladiators came up empty on a trip inside the red zone. Cin City went deep on the next play, and while Davis's pass fell incomplete, there was a pass interference call on the play that moved Cin City all the way down to the Gladiators' 16-yard line. A first down moved the Bucs even further down to the 3, but on 1st and goal, Davis was brought down for a 12-yard loss. Cin City settled for a field goal attempt by Bradley Cullen, and his kick was no good, and with 2 minutes 33 seconds remaining, the score was still tied 16-16. The Gladiators were unable to move the ball, and when Joey Reinhardt's punt went out of bounds at the 40-yard line with under a minute remaining, it looked like might have the first overtime in BCFL championship game history. Looking to avoid that, Davis fired a pass to Darion Brown. He slipped by the tackler. There was nobody in front of him. It was a race to the end zone. He dove in for the go-ahead touchdown with 48 seconds remaining, putting the Buccaneers ahead. This time, Cullen's kick was good. The extra point put Cin City ahead, 23-16.
I'm in Salisbury State, yes, sir! Yeah.
A pair of incomplete passes leave the desperate Gladiators at 3rd and 10. Kershaw took the snap, pitched it back to Birdsong, who fired it back over to Kershaw. He ran up the left sideline, cut back, worked his way ahead for 17 yards down to the 43. Timeout with 22 seconds remaining. Again, it's Kershaw, back to Birdsong, back over to Kershaw. He weaves his way along the left sideline, finally working his way out of bounds at the 31 with 13 seconds remaining. This time Kershaw keeps it himself, but he's flushed out of the pocket, has to roll out and finally just throw it out of bounds, preserving the clock. 6 seconds remaining. 2nd and 10 from the Bucs' 31. Time for just one more play. This time it's Birdsong. He fires one into the end zone, and it's incomplete. Time runs out. The Buccaneers have held on for a 23-16 win and the Blue Collar Football League championship. The final stats were just about as close as this game was. The Buccaneers had 12 first downs to 11 for the Gladiators. Cin City ran 12 times for 45 yards. The Gladiators had 25 carries for 56 yards. Cin City had 213 yards passing. Columbus's quarterbacks combined for 153 yards, giving the Bucs an edge in total offense, 258 yards to 209. Both teams had 3 turnovers. All 3 turnovers by the Gladiators were in the red zone, however. Cin City had a slight edge in time of possession, 32 minutes 3 seconds to 27 minutes 57 seconds for Columbus. Darion Brown was the game's MVP. He had 5 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning score. Davis finished 17 of 34 passing for 225 yards with 3 touchdowns. Marcus Commodore also caught 4 passes for 40 yards and a touchdown. Greg Johnson was the leading rusher for the Bucs, 9 carries for 40 yards. And on defense, Lamar Taborn had 4 tackles, including 1 sack. He forced the fumble and recovered a fumble. For the Gladiators, Kershaw finished 7 of 12 passing for 116 yards. Calvin Dawson was the leading receiver with 3 catches for 87 yards. Kershaw was actually the second leading receiver with 2 catches for 29 yards. Michael Haynes led him in rushing with 12 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. Birdsong was 3 of 6 passing for 74 yards and had 3 carries for 18 yards and a touchdown. Also had a tackle on defense. Speaking of the defense, Jeremy Williams had 3 tackles, 2 interceptions. He also had a 45-yard reception on the 3rd and 34 play and a 39-yard punt return. And all that was left was for the Bucs to be presented with the trophy.
Obviously, as representation of the league, we got 2 different trophies we're going to give out. Obviously, the league championship for y'all work this year, for everything y'all have accomplished. And then we got the player of the game as well, but this is y'all championship. Yeah! Hey, you might as well stay here. You already know where it's going. You might as well stay here.
You gotta stay the course. It seems like the more adversity we got, the tighter we got. This team was built for this type of comeback. I can't be any more happier for our organization, from the coaches to our assistant staff to the players to our fans.
Stay the course, man.
Best coaches in the BCFL.
Take it up, man! Take it up, man!
After our 3rd loss, but we didn't. We buckled up. Got the job done.
The defensive aspect of the game, I'm just very proud of the guys who believed in what we were telling them. They listened. They believed in the formula. Linebackers listen. Our defensive listen. I'm very proud of them. Hey, we're going to the ship.
Actually run on defense. But when you get some guys, you see my quarterback, he out here with a cane, you know. So when you get guys like that, you know, them core players, and you know, you pass the knowledge down to the rest of the rookies. And then when you gel that together, you get this.
We started off 0-3. It was kind of rough. We had no preseason, no scrimmage games, no joint practices, and then we went on 8 straight. It was a grueling playoffs to get here. I'm talking about, the Gladiators. They came. Much respect to the Gladiators. 100. They played a hell of a game. We did what we had to do to get the win. Idaho with the big plays. That's one of my guys that I coached at Withrow High School, and to be throwing to him now in real games is kind of crazy. This is going to be a nice ride home back to the Natty right here. Hey, you see I got my cane. Hey, I'm kind of old. I'm about 48 out this thing. So when I go back to the old folk home tonight, hey, that's what I'm going to get. Hey, thanks BCFL.
I appreciate Lowe's and Fire bringing me on it. They said that we was going to do something special, and we all bought in. Defense kept swarming. We were all going to the ball. We made mistakes, but then we all came back after giving up big plays and stiffened up. We made the adjustments, calmed all the negativity down. We came together, and now we're champs. That's what happens when you come together as a team. People from different cities, different backgrounds. Dayton, Cincinnati, it don't matter. We all wear the same colors today. Very proud of what you guys have done. Obviously, I've been knowing a lot of y'all a long time. Me and Carlos go back like brothers. Benny, like a nephew to me. Obviously, I got my other nephew that's all the time. I told him before the game, he got mad at me for how come I didn't get Offensive Player of the Year. I said, we'll go win the Player of the Game then this year, and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir.
This was my comeback season. Our whole team was just trying to prove something. We came out, got it together, and we did it. Like, got love for everybody in the league. Appreciate all of y'all. It was some wide open passes that, of course, I felt like I should have had. But at the end of the day, we came together. It happens all the time. We fall out, and then we get mad, and everybody know how AD play when he get mad. And we was just able to come out, get it, and bring it back to the city. That's what it was all about. I'm like, I'm going to catch it and just spin outside and wish for the best. When I spent, I seen I had nothing but the field, so I just took off. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't young no more, so y'all almost caught me. I had to die. Just keep your dream running no matter how old you get, no matter anything. If you can still do it, put your all into it.
Congratulations to the Cin City Buccaneers, the 2021 Blue Collar Football League champion.